What's up, Jets fans? It's Christian from the Jets Report, and today we're going to be discussing the three different coordinators Robert Saleh has brought onto his staff to help lead his operations. So I just want to say I absolutely love Robert Saleh, and I'm super pumped up for this hire. I said it in my past video, and he's giving me even more reasons to be pumped up with all these staff hirings that he's bringing in. And the staff is already looking much better than Adam Gase's staff, and they haven't already played a game, and a major reason for that is Robert Saleh is taking on that CEO type of role. He's not calling plays. He's leading the whole team. He's going to be in every single facet of the game. He's going to be involved in every single facet of the game. He's going to be a true leader of the men. Adam Gase, he was the head coach of the offense. Greg Williams is the head coach of the defense. They argued sometimes, they butt heads, and then your team falls apart. Adam Gase, also not a player's coach. Total opposite from Robert Saleh, including his staff. So Saleh's bringing in, also on a side note, Saleh's bringing in run and pass game coordinators, something that we didn't have with Adam Gase's coaching staff. And Adam Gase's coaching staff really had two voices on offense, himself and Dow Loggins, and they both were not great offensive minds. That shows the product on the field. And Saleh really is emphasizing bringing in leaders for different parts of the games so everything can mesh and run together smoothly. So I want to start off with the first coordinator hiring, with the biggest one, I think, is Mike LaFluer, offensive coordinator. We found out this hiring the day or the night Robert Saleh was hired. And he's just a young, respected mind at age of 34, I believe. And he's actually the brother of Matt LaFluer, who's the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. He's doing a good job over there with Aaron Rodgers, even though it was a tough loss to the Bucs. But he's the former 49ers passing game coordinator, and he's known to be a mastermind of the Shanahan system. He's known to know it like the back of his hand, and he's probably the most educated on the system in the NFL, aside from a guy like Kyle Shanahan. And with his offense, expect a lot of outside zone running because they like to use athletic tackles, and we have the perfect athletic tackle in Mekhi Becton, who could block at multiple levels of the field because of his athleticism and agility. And also, they love the play-action passing game within the Shanahan system, and it really simplifies for the quarterback. They don't have to make too many reads. It's one read, two read, and it's very simplified, and it's very orderly, which is not like Adam Gase's system, where rumors were Adam Gase just gave Sam Darnold a playbook with a bunch of X's and O's that really made no sense. And for a second, third-year quarterback, he said, learn it, and if you have any questions, see me in your office, which is not really the way to run an offense, not really the way to deal with a young quarterback. And I have so much more trust in Mike LaFleur than Adam Gase. And on a side note, I just want to say, Mike LaFleur brings in this energy that we didn't have with Adam Gase. He's a backwards hat-wearing coach. He's energetic, he's young, and he's enthusiastic. And I think that's perfect for the Robert Saleh coaching hire because they go well hand in hand, and they're going to mesh really well together. So to go to the next coordinator hire, we're going to go defensive coordinator with Jeff Ulbrich from the Atlanta Falcons, actually. He stepped in as the Atlanta Falcons defense coordinator for the final 6 games after Dan Quinn was hired. And the defense played really well. Final 6 games, there was an energy, there's a spark to it that they didn't have before with Dan Quinn leading the defense. And one of the highlights of those 6 games is they held the Chiefs to only 17 points, which, honestly, if you're watching the playoffs, that's like a miracle. The Chiefs are one of the best offenses this last 20 years, and it's just great to see. And they held them to 17 points. And whether Patrick Mahomes was having an off day, you still got to credit Jeff Ulbrich, who's calling plays. And on a side note, Jeff Ulbrich is also a former player who was drafted 86th overall in the 2000 NFL draft and played from 2000 to 2009 as a linebacker in San Francisco. And he was known as a hard-hitting, high-energy linebacker. He had this mohawk when he was playing. He was a defensive leader, a vocal leader. And that's great to have on defense. I feel like players really rally around that, especially because he was a former player and he could relate to them. And he brings this sort of energy that Greg Williams had, but he also doesn't bring the problems Greg Williams had with like Bountygate and wanting to injure players and dirty defense with offsides calls at the end of the game, hitting quarterbacks. He brings that energy and that toughness, but he doesn't bring the problems, which is honestly a great mix. And Saleh and Ulbrich both spent time in Seattle and Atlanta when Saleh was following around Shanahan, and Saleh was also the linebackers coach in Seattle. They spent time together, and that's how Saleh fell in love with Ulbrich, and they really agreed on a bunch of systems and schemes, and that's why Ulbrich's the coach. Saleh says he's not going to be calling plays on defense, and he fully trusts Ulbrich with the play calling, which I love. Saleh claims that they go hand in hand, mind in mind, and they run similar schemes, and he puts his full trust in him, which is perfect. And I definitely know Saleh will have input on the defensive side of the ball above everything because he's a former D coordinator. And I feel like this defense is going to be scary coming next couple of years with guys like Marcus May, Quinnen Williams, some young rookies hopefully we're bringing in. I'm just really excited for this defense. And I think we could be a top 10 unit, if not next year, definitely 2 years from now and down the road, which could definitely help us win games. And finally, today actually, the Jets retain or bring back Brant Boyer, the special teams coordinator. Brant Boyer, he has a lot of continuity with the Jets organization, as he was the special teams coordinator for both Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, and now Robert Saleh. And he brings that sense of playing like a Jet. And if you look at his special teams units, they really haven't been that bad. They've been middle of the pack, top 15, sometimes even better than top 15. And the talent hasn't really been there. We had a great special teams unit, I believe, 2018, when we had Jason Myers and Andre Roberts. They were both all-pro, Pro Bowl level players. And Mike McCagnon was stubborn and didn't bring them back. And the special teams unit didn't even have that bad of a fallback. We've been having a revolving door at kicker, and punter wasn't really settled until we brought in Braden Mann, rookie, who I absolutely love this year, and hopefully he could be punting for us for a while. Kicker's been a revolving door, and we haven't really had that elite level returner, and we've still been a top 15 unit, a respectable unit. So I'm totally fine with that because special teams can win a lot of games. And one thing on a side note is I'm looking for the Jets to draft a kicker this year. And I know, kicker, why would we draft a kicker? Well, Joe Douglas has drafted special teams in his last draft, taking Braden Mann in the 6th round. And I honestly love that because if you think about it, what players are you drafting in the 6th round? I mean, you could struck luck in 1 in 100 years and take Tom Brady. Or, I mean, you could see some studs coming out of the 6th round, but very, very rare. Most likely they're either cut or they become a good rotational piece at best. So if we take a kicker that we could have starting for our team for the next 10 years, like hopefully Braden Mann can be punting for our team for the next 10 years, I think it's a perfect draft selection. So I'm really looking at kicker in around the 6th round, and I feel like that could really benefit the special teams and we get young, energetic guys. And hopefully we find a secure return man, because Braxton Berrios, well, he's all right. He's definitely not an elite level returner, and we could definitely use more. And just one thing that I want to, like, a little negative about Brant Boyer, and his personnel he's working with is a little tough in the past, but punt returns. Kick returns, I feel like we're fine. We haven't really had too many kick return woes. But punt returns, I feel like there's always one punt return a game where they're getting like 20, 30 yards. And if we could reduce that, sets the defense in an easier situation and makes the game flow easier and easier for everyone. So if we could reduce that this year, that would be amazing. But I like all of these hires. I'm definitely hyped up for the Mike LaFluer hire. But Boyer and Ulbrich are two very solid guys, and I trust Robert Saleh. You'll hear me say this in the future. Any move that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh makes, I'll pretty much back any of it because I trust the duo of them and I trust them making decisions. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And as always, go Jets.